Hello, this is Janet Michael. In addition to hosting The Valley Today each weekday at noon on the River 95.3, I also produce podcasts. And I'm excited to kick off Season 2 of our podcast series in partnership with Rappahannock Electric Cooperative. It's called We Are REC. Every week we'll release a new episode talking to different people from REC about a host of different topics. We'll get tips for saving money on your electric bill. We'll talk about renewable energy and the impact it can have in our communities. We'll get some behind-the-scenes info about what happens when the power goes out in a storm. Don't miss out on information about community grants, scholarships, REC-hosted events, and more. Get every single episode on our website at theriver953.com under the podcast tab, or you can subscribe for free in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or on Spotify. Just do a quick search for We Are REC. Hello and welcome to The Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. We have pre-recorded today's conversation for our Community Health Partnership Day with Valley Health, and I know I have done a lot of Valley Health conversations in the last 10 or 12 weeks, but this is one of the official conversations. It is the third Thursday as you are listening to this of May. So this is our standard Valley Health conversation. And Mary Presley is kind of on the screen with me today. She is joining me via phone, but we are doing it over Zoom. So if the sound gets a little wonky, now you know why. Mary is the second. She is a return guest actually on the show. She is the director of Rehabilitation Services at Warren Memorial Hospital. Joining her is Allison Barham. She is an occupational therapist, and Sarah Morey is a speech therapist. Both of them are also at Warren Memorial Hospital. Ladies, thank you for coming to hang out with me for a little bit today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks again for asking us.
So are you ladies at work? What is the current status of outpatient rehab services right now for Warren Memorial Hospital?
Janet, we have been very fortunate that we have been able to remain open through this process. We did decrease our footprint to only seeing emergent patients that needed our services, but effectively this past week, we have reopened that footprint to take back folks that may have not finished their plan of cares, and also folks that are now starting to have surgery, and we're seeing them after surgery. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Winchester and Warren have now started seeing their elective surgeries again. And so we are looking at phase 1 of our opening.
On the list here of things that I want to make sure we talk about is the telehealth options. Explain to me what you do in rehabilitative services. Let's start with that, and then maybe you can explain to me how you were able to continue offering services in the various forms. So what do you do at rehab? What are all the services that fall under that?
So the services that we have are the core disciplines of physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. And through this process, we remained open, and we did a high vigilance screening, asking patients before they came in. We increased our protective equipment to keep our staff as well as the patients safe. As you well know, 6-foot distance is kind of hard in our area because we're kind of hands-on people, but we really had to do an increase of hand washing and watching how we treated in our current setting. The second phase was the ability to telehealth, which is new for physical therapy, speech, occupational therapy. With loosening of those reins, that opportunity was granted to us. So we're on a learning curve with that. One area where it was really exceptional was through our speech. And so I'm going to let share that moment.
Hi. So I've been lucky enough to be able to reach out to some of our pediatric patients that we discharged due to COVID-19 concerns. We wanted to keep them safe and their families safe. So we discharged, but we were able to maintain their plan of care through doing essentially what we're doing right now is Zoom meeting, but we just use a different platform called DoxyMe that's HIPAA compliant. So we do a video meeting. Usually we have an e-helper there, mom or dad or caregiver who assists, and they might help with the hands-on portion of the activity. And we also try to do some interactive things, sharing my screen with them so they're able to do some activities. And the big difference I'm finding with doing the telehealth is you just have to stay really animated so the child stays engaged with the screen and you hold their attention instead of kitty but we've had a couple kiddos run off and get their pet frogs and such and show them to me. So I'm kind of getting a new view of my patients, which I'm really appreciating.
I have heard that from several people that are in the Valley Health System, but also other people that I've been having conversations with over Zoom, and their fascination with other people's backgrounds and who's walking behind them on the camera. And we've all gotten to know each other in a whole new way in this new age of doing things.
Absolutely.
So it's been a terrific reception with telehealth, and we're branching that out more. Right now, we're open from 8 to 4:30 to meet the needs of our front office and keep PPE down. And I'm hoping to, by June, start to expand our hours to help accommodate as more people go back to work, for us to have the evening hours for those folks that commute.
So does telehealth work just as easily for occupational therapists? I mean, Allison, how have you had to adjust?
I myself have not started the use of telehealth yet. That's something that we're looking at, trying to figure out the best way to do that. With occupational therapy being pretty hands-on, that's something that I'm still kind of exploring, getting to know and figuring out the best way to use that.
Physical therapy that we've found is optimizing is for back care. Some of our Winchester partners have partnered with our spine physicians to have a collaborative approach with telehealth. But when you're in our field, so much of what we do is hands-on. A lot of it is instructionary, cueing, education, and we try to do it to maximize it as much as possible. But when it gets down to soup and nuts, we need to have our hands on the patient to help facilitate, to get the mobility, to make sure they're safe. That's why we remained open, and we're hoping to get folks back in a safe environment where they can continue to progress.
And I would say that speech is unique in that the primary method we're working on is communication, which is really well suited towards the telehealth aspect. Basically, the child just has to be able to see my face, to be able to try to make the sounds, and we're working on communication instead of, having to do something where you're physically having to teach the child how to tie a shoe would be more difficult to do over the computer, hand over hand, than would be with what I'm doing with telehealth.
And now that they've opened elective surgeries back up, that's going to make scheduling, I would guess, Mary, a little bit more complicated, because where you had kind of your set pool of people that you knew were going through their different therapy sessions, now they're going to start adding more people into that mix, and you're going to have to kind of coordinate that a little bit more, I would guess.
We're ready. I have the latitude of having a large footprint in the Commerce building, as well as I have a second clinic at Riverton that I was on your show before talking about. So one of the ways we're trying to utilize our areas, having Riverton a smaller footprint but very controlled. Our newer post-op patients in the beginning, we're going to have every new post-op go to Riverton so we can really control the cleanliness, the amount of people that they're exposed to, and of course only going through the one door there versus come to Commerce where you're coming into a building and then having to come into a door to try to keep patients safer. We also have the ability to spread out in our gym and make zones so we can keep our safe distance, as well as keeping things very controlled and limit the number of resources. And we expand our service line out to include Saturdays, so we spread the patient's visits out as well.
I totally forgot that you guys have that gym there. It's in the Commerce building, right?
That's our largest operation of building businesses at Commerce.
And it operates as a gym, but it also operates as a rehab facility where you have people doing specific exercises as part of their rehabilitation. How does that fall under gyms and whether they can be open and all of that? Have you had to kind of figure that out as you go as well?
I have two hats. My rehab hat, we have remained open the entire time. Under the fitness collaborative, we did have to shut down given the governor's orders, but in order to keep the 6 feet distance, it really needed to be shut down. So we have not operationally had our wellness return, and that might look a little bit gradual because my first and foremost operation would be get rehab up and going, get all my therapists back in operation, and then probably bring back my trainers to start doing individual personal training. And then hopefully maybe by August, September, have my fitness operational, but it all depends on what our friend the COVID-19 is doing during that time.
And if we could predict anything, we'd all be rich people right now.
Amen. At a time of change, we're really just trying to adapt with first and foremost keeping our staff and our patients safe, and then being cautious. That's the number one thing. We're being cautious and trying to use a little common sense in order to make things work so we can remain open and provide the services that our community needs.
Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, can we continue this conversation and talk a little bit more about some of the things that you're putting into place? And I know we wanted to talk a little bit about some online resources. Can we cover all of that in the second half?
Absolutely.
In just a couple of minutes, we are going to continue our conversation with Mary Presley. She is the Director of Rehabilitation Services at Warren Memorial Hospital. Joining her in her world is Allison Barham. She is an occupational therapist. Sarah Morey is also with her. She is a speech therapist. Both of them are also with Warren Memorial Hospital. I, however, am miles and miles away on a Zoom screen in Middletown, but regardless, we're going to come back together in a few minutes and continue this conversation here on the Valley today. Expecting to hear a commercial? That's what this is, sorta. First, I want to thank you for listening to the Valley Today podcast. You're one of thousands who listen to the show this way every month. Sometimes it's because our listeners are busy and they want to listen when it fits their schedule, or it's a guest of the show who want to hear what they sounded like when they were on the radio. We even have a few binge listeners who listen to a week's worth at a time. Can you even imagine? So if you want those people, your potential customers, to hear your message, then this could have been your ad. And the bonus, your commercial isn't restricted to just 30 or 60 seconds. You can take up to 2 minutes to talk to those customers, and there's even the opportunity to be an exclusive sponsor of the Valley Today podcast, which also gets you on-air mentions at the end of every show. If any of this sounds interesting to you, give me a call at the station, 540-635-4121, or send me an email to janet@theriver953.com. You can also find all my contact info by searching for me on theriver953.com. Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. As you are listening to the show today, it is our Community Health Partnership Day in partnership with Valley Health. We have a conversation with them on the third Thursday of every single month. And I mentioned at the top of the show, we've been having a lot of Valley Health conversations. I think we're going to have another one next week with the CEO. Mark Merrill is going to have another conversation with me next week. I just don't know what date yet. But today we are talking via Zoom with Mary Presley. She is the Director of Rehab Services at Warren Memorial Hospital. On her end of the screen is Allison Barham. She is an occupational therapist. Sarah Morey is with her as well. She is a speech therapist. Both of them are also with Warren Memorial Hospital. And we talked in the first segment, Mary, about your phased reopening of the different rehabilitation services that you're offering at Warren Memorial. And when we went to break, I was talking about online resources, but then you explained them to me through the break, and I think that they are a phenomenal idea. So explain to me what your goal is with some of the new things that you're going to be implementing in the coming weeks.
Well, thank you. This is kind of a help from my sons and what they do in their outdoor industry world of how can we actually give back to our community. So much of what it has been is what you shouldn't do and how you should behave and those kind of things. So I talked with Allison and Sarah and came up with an idea of how can we use Facebook to actually educate, and how can we inform and be connected with our parents and our patients in a very different way. So many of us as parents want to know milestones and what can we do to help ensure that the child is meeting those milestones. Also, what are activities can we do at home to help facilitate that? And this team I have is just remarkably talented and gifted for ideas. The creativity is absolutely endless. So one of the first videos that we're going to come up with is not just reading a book to a child, but how to read a book to a child to engage them on many levels and also bring it to more of a physicality of using the book to get activities going. And so that was one of the things, and the others are simple things of we've all been at home and sitting and trying to maximize our areas, but maybe we do a video on how do you select an office chair and how should it sit. So maybe take 2 minutes, do a quick thing, post it on video, and then we can just grow from that of what the community needs and some opportunities we may have now that we're wanting to get in the springtime. What's a good spring warm-up stretch? And things like that. I want to ask Sarah and Allison to kind of give a vignette of what they're talking about how to read a book.
Our goal, like you said, is to give families and caregivers practical tips so they can enjoy working with their child. We don't want it to be a stressful time. We don't want them to feel like they're already having to be their educator because they're at home school learning. So we want these to be fun, exciting, but easy activities for the parent. So we chose doing a book reading, helping the parent understand what a good book would look like, bright, vibrant colors, repetitive, easy to predict patterns, and then doing activities based on those. So looking at their literacy, but also being animated and acting out the sounds and being silly with your kid and really enjoying it. And then planning some what we call like extension activities where you can take the learning to the next level and really cement some of the concepts. And that's where our OT Allison comes in because she's super creative with things like that.
Yeah, so we're going to, in our video, show them how they can address the child's fine motor and gross motor skills, building off of the book that they're reading by doing things like animal walks and crafts that are simple, things that they can do at home with stuff they already have or don't need any equipment to do, but ways to kind of carry on the story and just also working on just those play skills back and forth. And it's like Sarah said, without adding too much stress to the parent. It doesn't need to be one more thing to do. It just needs to be fun, enjoyable time where they're learning but maybe don't really realize they're learning.
Yeah. We just really want families to be enjoying their time together because that's when the most learning is going to be taking place. And we also want our families to know that we're, even during this time, we're still here for them, reaching out to them, and that if they need to, they can always call or contact us, and that bridge and that door is always open.
Mary, walk me through how that looks. How do people reach out to you? How do they make an appointment? What does the process look like in the current phase that you're in right now?
Currently, our hours of operation are 8 to 4:30. We are asking that patients who are coming here do have an appointment. For our phone number, it's 540-635-0730. We'll get to the front desk, and they can then navigate to either get to one of the therapists, and the therapist can call them back, or if they feel like they want to have engagement with us and with a referral, we'll help them navigate to get the appropriate referral from their physician to get their plan of care started.
And I know from the conversations that I've had with the other doctors at Valley Health, Dr. Flake came and did a show and explained kind of how telehealth works. You start at the office anyway, and they then walk you through. So if it is somebody that maybe has a need for Sarah's services and telehealth is a workable option, you'll walk them through how to get that all set up as well, right?
That's correct. And we've had more limited exposure than some of our physician practices, but it basically, you establish the appointment, and through Zoom, we would send the invite through an email, just as we have done today, and then have a phone call prior just to kind of educate the parent or patient of what to expect. And then we then try to upload it and have a successful visit through telehealth.
The post that you're going to be making on Facebook in the near future with some of these practical tips, where can people find that on Facebook? What should they search for?
War Memorial Hospital. We have our own Facebook page. Through Valley Health has theirs, as well as War Memorial Hospital has their own Facebook page. And that's where we'll be posting them.
You mentioned a minute ago some of the how-to videos are like how to pick the perfect ergonomic office chair. I think I need you to come to my house and figure out how I can make these kitchen chairs that I'm sitting on at my table a little more comfortable. Maybe we should get really, really practical.
Actually, developing workstations at home is a reasonable conversation with the tools that you have. And I mean, we do it all the time, but we don't stop and think about that. We never would have imagined that our home offices would have been home offices for this length of time.
Well, and based on what I'm seeing, at least on a national level and to a certain degree, regional and even locally, a lot of workers may not necessarily go back to their offices. They have learned this new normal is as effective and a whole lot more productive and more convenient for them. We may see a larger population of people working from home on a regular basis now that aren't going to be commuting and are going to have a need for some of this stuff.
I think going forward, there's going to be a lot more change, and I think that all of our therapies can have an input in helping to frame what that might look like so they keep themselves safe and productive at home just as much as they are in their offices.
Before we wrap up, tell me one more time, how can people get in touch with you or with the rehabilitation services that are offered at Warren Memorial?
So for our Warren Memorial office, the phone number is 540-635-0730. That will get you to our main campus, and they can help facilitate any conversation with our Riverton office. They can help facilitate any conversation with any of the therapists that you heard today, or if you need a resource of just trying to answer a question, they can definitely get to myself, and I'll be happy to help with anybody that calls in.
And then the other piece of that is make sure that you're following Warren Memorial Hospital on Facebook, because that's where some really cool new stuff is coming.
That is what we're looking forward to. We're very novice at this, and I hope the population is patient with us, but the vision and the excitement is there. We just need to get down to the technicality of doing it.
Well, and as we've all learned, we're all a whole lot more technical than we ever thought we would be at any given point in our life.
You can say that again.
Well, we are going to wrap up today's conversation. We have been chatting with Mary Presley. She is the Director of Rehabilitation Services at Warren Memorial Hospital. Allison Barham is an occupational therapist, and Sarah Morey is a speech therapist, both two with Warren Memorial Hospital. They've been having the conversation with me today as part of our community health partnership. Ladies, thank you again for spending some time with me this afternoon. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting us join you in this afternoon discussion.
We will be back tomorrow with a brand new episode just a few minutes after noon. It is United Way Day, and I believe Elise is going to, I was going to say bring Mark with her from Literacy Volunteers, but actually we're going to be once again meeting on the screen. So meet me here tomorrow a few minutes after noon, and I will have that conversation ready to go for you.